Boa noite. Agora vamos ler capítulos 14, 15 e 16 do livro Utz, por Bruce Chatwin. One morning in February of 1952, a rap on the door demanded entry for 3 unwelcome visitors. They were a curator from the museum, a photographer, and an acne-pitted lout who, as Utz guessed, was a member of the secret police. For the next 2 weeks, he was a helpless witness while this trio turned the apartment upside down, trampled slush into the carpet, and made an inventory of every object. The curator warned him not to tamper with the labels. If he did so, the collection would be forfeit. Utz particularly loathed the photographer, a grim, fanatical young woman with an astigmatism who had worked herself into a fever of indignation. In her view, he had no business keeping treasures that rightfully belonged to the people. Really, he answered. By what right? The right of theft, I suppose? The policeman told him to hold his tongue. It would be worse for him. The photographer converted the room into a makeshift studio, fastened over a plate camera as though it was a thing beyond price. When Utz accidentally brushed against the lens, she ordered him into the bedroom. She may have been a competent photographer, but she was so short-sighted and so clumsy when handling the porcelains that Utz had to sit on the edge of his bed, numbly waiting for the crash. He begged to be allowed to position each piece in front of the camera. He was told it was none of his business. Finally, when the young woman dropped and smashed the head off a figure of Watteau's Gilles, he lost his temper. Take it, he snapped. Take it for your horrible museum. I never want to see it again. The photographer shrugged. The policeman wobbled his jowls. The curator went into the bathroom and, returning with a length of lavatory paper, wrapped the head and the torso separately and put them in his pocket. This piece, he said, will not appear in the inventory. Thank you, said Utz. Thank you for that. At least, when they had gone, he gazed miserably at his miniature family. He felt abused and assaulted. He felt like the man who, on returning from a journey, finds his house has been burgled. He summoned up a few vague thoughts of suicide. There wasn't much, was there, to live for? But no, he wasn't the type. He would never work up the courage. But could he bring himself to leave the collection, make a clean break, begin a new life abroad? He still had money in Switzerland, thank God. Who could tell, in Paris or in New York, he might even begin to collect again. Decided, if he could get out, to go. Capítulo 15. During the Gottwald years, the most reliable method of obtaining an exit visa was to apply for foreign travel on the grounds of ill health. The procedure was to go to your usual physician and ask him to diagnose an ailment. Do you suffer from depression? Dr. Petrosels demanded. Constantly, said Utz. I always have. Doubtless a malfunction of the liver, said the doctor, who made no effort to examine him further. I advise you to take the cure at Vichy. But surely, Utz protested, Czechoslovaquia was the land of spas. Surely they'd be suspicious. Surely there were waters for the liver in Marienbad or at Karlsbad. Far from it, the doctor assured him. The visa authorities knew all about the waters of Vichy. Vichy was the place for him. Oh, if you say so, said Utz, with misgivings. The official in the visa department glanced at the medical report, mumbled the word Vichy in a disinterested tone, and went to consult the file. A week later, when he returned to the same office, Utz learned he had been given a month's stay abroad. He undertook not to spread malicious propaganda against the People's Republic. The porcelain collection would be considered surety for his good behaviour and his safe return. The man insinuated that they had ways and means of finding out where he went in Western Europe, and if he actually turned up at Vichy. Utz was astonished that no one bothered to ask how he would support himself in a foreign country. Was this, he wondered, a trap? What can they expect of me, he asked himself. Subsist on air? Capitula XVI. On the eve of his departure, his tickets and passport in order, he took leave of the collection piece by piece. Marta was cooking in the kitchenette. He had ordered dinner for two. She had spread a fresh damask cloth over the glass-topped table, and as he surveyed the sparkling swan service plates, the salt cellar, the cutlery with Chinese handles, he came close to believing in his fantasy that this was the porcelain palace, and that he himself was Augustus reincarnate. Marta, whom he had taught to make a souffle, asked what time the guest would arrive. He stood up. He straightened his tie. Then, without a hint of condescension, he pressed a callous hand to his lips. This evening, my dear Marta, you are to be the guest. She coloured at the neck. She protested. She said she was unworthy, and in the end accepted with delight.